And we are live. About 10 to 7, so we'll start in about 10 minutes. Remember to sign into the talk to. You know you're there and you can ask questions. Click the chat link, the chat bubble. Everybody hear me okay? See me okay? Some people are having trouble with their video. Five more minutes. This time next month, I'll be back in Ottawa. Hopefully the snow will be gone by then. The next Oneida fire, I'll be home. For now, I'm in sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and it is beautiful here. We're having a cold front, which means the temperature is 25 instead of 28. The natives are offended. I'm okay with 25. It means I don't have to sleep with the air conditioning on. So she's hearing double. Is there an echo? Is that what that means? A little garbled. Says it's got all of the bars. I'll do is I'll plug in the charge people too. I charged it. Paranoid. Cautious. I just plugged in the power cable for my headset in case. I'm having a lozenge because apparently the mango trees are in bloom. They're sending off so much pollen that it's beginning to bit of a cough. I'm not usually allergic to stuff like that. So anytime you're doing this, Chrome is going to be more friendly to this because the video is done through YouTube. Private, which means public can't. Um, so Chrome is going to be more friendly because Chrome owns YouTube. You know, Google owns Chrome, owns YouTube. So if that's not the browser you're using, you may want to try using Chrome for this purpose. Judy says there's a bit of a garble. If it gets too bad, I'll turn off my video because the audio is more important. I know some people like it. Not essential. All right, so does it sound better now? Good. Does it sound better now? Yay! One more minute, and then I'm going to start. Open a window. Great problem. Okay, so this is Owning Your Fire, March 14th, 2018. And remember, if you have questions, to put them in the chat. Judy will relay them to me so that I can answer them. I said I will be back By April, I will be back in Ottawa. Well, actually, back in Empire to do the workshop. So tonight, let's start by paying attention to your breath. So it's even on the way in, way out, slow and low. Every now and again, it's good to go back. It's good to go back to the basics. My voice is very low. Okay. Uh, you can control the volume at your end. Hold on, I'll check my sound. Okay, that's the volume on my end. And I will speak a bit louder. So it's good to go back to basics and just practice doing breathe slow and low without any other agenda, to just practice it, because remember, breathe slow and low is how you teach your body to feel safe. So let's just go with that and just check and see how many beats is comfortable for you. So we usually start with a 4. So you breathe in, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 3, 4, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4. And remember, and just let yourself keep breathing. I remember one summer that I was really focused on playing with this breathe slow and low, and I got it so I could do 24. I could do 24 on in and 24 out. I actually can't do that right now because I tried it the other day, and it takes practice. It takes practice to be that peaceful. So I do a lot of meditation and I do lots of other stuff. It's just I hadn't focused on that. I thought we forget that these very basic, simple things are important, because this is how you teach your body that when you say, I am safe, that your body will actually believe you. Because just the thought is not enough, right? Your limbic system doesn't listen to what you think or doesn't listen to your opinions because it has its own opinions. And as far as it's concerned, you don't understand what a threat is. And that's why we work so hard to build a relationship in Campfire. And so being able to do breathe slow and low is talking to your body through your body so that you can actually say, you are safe. Stand down. It's okay. I got this. And so think about that and give yourself a chance every now and again. Just go back and practice the basics. Practice breathe slow and low. Practice doing detox without an agenda. Just do waterfall, flush out whatever needs to go without an agenda. Because we're always pushing, pushing, pushing. Okay, excuse me, there's always something we want to shift or change. And sometimes it's just about allowing yourself to be peaceful. And that doesn't mean life is peaceful because there's always stuff going on. It's about allowing yourself to say, it's okay, all this stuff is going on. I am safe. I am safe. And it's interesting to note. So I realized, I've kind of, I've let that muscle go slacker, so I can't get to 24 anymore. Um, but, I will. If I pay attention to it in practice, I will. But then I went, and what I did was I did a complete singing bowls, and when I went back and did breathe slow and low again, I could go way much higher. So it was interesting because that kind of set my system to that peaceful state, and it reflected in my connection with my body, in my connection with my subconscious. So that's kind of cool, right? So keep yourself breathing, even on the way in, even on the way out, nice and peaceful. And I'm going to talk about what we're going to do, and we'll work our way through it. So I realized the other day, I was doing some stuff, because me, I'm always doing some stuff. We are programmed to seek approval. We're programmed to seek attention. We're programmed to seek validation. We're programmed to want other people to tell us that we matter, to tell us that we did good, to tell us that they love us, that we have status. And it's really fundamental wiring to want status. Because back in the cave, status determined your access to food, and status secured your position in the tribe. So it's really visceral survival programming to want status. The thing is, the people around you, there's people who are closer to you and people not so close to you, but the people around you, they have their own programming going on, and they're in seek for status. If you're in seek for status, they will perceive that as a threat. So it's very difficult for people to actually give you status. I mean, you can demand it. I mean, especially with your family, they will give you influence. They will give you status. But the reality is, you kind of need to step back and say, why do I need someone else to tell me my worth? Because the reality is, what you feel is your worth is what you tell people about how to treat you. So if you're looking to other people to confirm your worth, to validate your status, to validate you, basically what they're going to give you is what you've told them to give you, which is based on what you feel about your worth. And we're really, really programmed to have low self-worth because we're programmed to seek it from others. Now, this goes back in a really basic way to your parents, or whoever served the role of parents, when you were very young. Because here's the thing. You would be in seek for status from your mother. You would want your mother to say, you're important, you deserve resources, you have love, you're taken care of. You want your mother to take care of you, and that is giving you status. Remember, status is a measure of influence, and influence affects decisions. So how your mother treated you was literally a measure of how much status you had, how much influence she gave you in affecting her decisions and her behavior. So you would be in seek with your mother to be given comfort and love. You'd be in seek with your father to be given protection and territory. And so think about this for a minute. They're human. Good, bad, or indifferent, they're human. And they're only capable of giving you what they're capable of. And that's going to be based on their self-worth and all the programs that they have going. And so the bottom line is, as a child, as a very young child, you would be seeking status from people who are not really equipped to give it to you, They just really aren't. And so the comfort zone is seek and don't get. The comfort zone for status is seek the status and don't get it. Or seek it, get some, and lose it. Because, they would give you some attention and then they'd, be off doing something else. And that is actually pretty normal. It's pretty normal as a child that you would get some attention, but probably not all the attention that you wanted or even needed. Simply because human beings. Okay? So the natural comfort zone for your ability to perceive status is that you would seek it and either not get it at all, or seek it and get some and then not get it. Seek it, lose. And so the reality is that's what you're going to recreate. So I thought that would be a really good one to get rid of. I thought it would be really good to get rid of. So I want to start by working with the little child because, fundamentally always with the little child inside you, what you have to do is teach them that you will give them status, that you will give them the love. And I want you to just pause for a moment and consider, how challenging is it to decide to spend some time, just go into campfire and spend some time hanging out with the little ones inside you to teach them that they're important. How hard is that to allocate in your day, in your week, in your month? And how hard it is tells you everything about your conditioning, about your own self worth. Yeah, like that, right? So we could do this in campfire, but that's not the gist of what I got in terms of how we're going to work on it. We're actually going to use the champagne bubbles. So in case you don't remember, because it's been a while, what we do is we're going to put a small ball of light on every single cell. So I'm going to build this and we'll work through it just so you have a sense of what's going on. So we'll do the big ball of light, get everything spinning so we have a safe environment to work in. And then we're going to put little balls of light. And we'll start, put them in the central nervous system, put them on the child cells, put them on the energy, put everywhere. So we're going to have all these gazillions of balls of light, little ones. And we're going to program them and we're going to give them love. We're going to use that to retune things. So that's going to be interesting. I think it's uh, I think it's useful to also do campfire, even though that's not what I was told to do tonight. Because I think the more you get to know those inner selves, the more you can make a connection. And it's about recognizing, you know, how difficult is it to actually spend time with your child selves. And if it's difficult, just really don't beat yourself up about it. Just recognize that this is the programming. The programming is, you were taught as a child there wasn't time for you. You were taught as a child that just simply comforting you wasn't a priority. And is that really how you want the little ones inside you to be living and feeling? Because the whole point of this is that the more you teach yourself that you are loved and that you are safe with you as that source of love, the more you feel that on the inside, the more you're going to attract validation and love and approval on the outside. So if you think anybody you think, well, you're not necessarily getting what you want from somebody in your life, you have to remember they're a mirror for you. And they're showing you the places that you aren't loving yourself. Okay, so let's start with the big ball. So let's make a big ball of light and spin it through you and around you, solid ball of light. And either go clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever feels right for you in this moment. And let's program that. Let's put love in it. Let's put comfort and detox and acceptance and approval. Lots of love. Oh, and we're going to do a double ball. So let's put another ball inside going the other direction. And this will be the one that helps to neutralize the obsolete emotion, neutralize anything that can go. The double ball is what we use for PTSD. So there's clearly trauma attached with this stuff, which totally makes sense. So the double ball, what it does is, you think of a sound wave. A sound wave kind of does this. It's like a sine wave. If you don't know what that is, it's sort of, if you were going to draw just an up and down, like a camel back, like camel humps. Okay, and so if you wanted to cancel out a sound wave, make silence, what you do is where there's an up one, you put a down one. Where there's a down one, you put an up one. So they actually, they alternate, and that creates a flat line. So the thing about the double ball, what you're doing is instead of trying to release stuff, instead of trying to figure out what's holding it in place, you literally just kind of cancel out that energy to make it neutral. Now always it goes with your intent. Everything with energy is about aim. So it's what you're capable of being willing to release. You have to kind of consciously decide to release. What you're capable of choosing to release is what will go. So we got one ball spinning, acceptance, approval, love, detox, comfort, and another ball on the inside spinning the other way. And that's neutralizing obsolete emotion, neutralizing what is ready to be. Okay. So now imagine, and if if you have trouble doing all of these different things, remember I've got big balls going in. Imagine one little tiny ball, and it could be a double ball. You could do the two of them. So imagine like the big ones you're doing around your whole self and all of your energy and everything. Do a little tiny one, and imagine that going around one cell. So just kind of pick one cell and spin that ball through it and around it. So solid ball of energy, two of them going different directions on one cell. Yeah, like that. Cool. Okay, now imagine you can do balls like that on all of the cells in your central nervous system. So that would be the brain stem, the part of the brain that does the autonomic stuff, your spine, your nerves. That's it. Feels so weird to isolate out one system. Everything in your central nervous system, all the neural pathways, all the communication, all the energies. That's double ball. So this is the first time we've done the champagne tool, which is all the little balls that I remember doing double ball. I need to know about that. Out of my mouth. Okay, central nervous system. Now do the endocrine system. All of the energy, all the organs, all the glands, all the communication. Yep, now let's add any organs that aren't part of it. Excuse me, and the rest of the bones, all kinds of things. And so anything else, every cell, millions of little balls of light. It's so cool. I get light shows, right? It's fascinating. That's it. Let's just sit with that for a little bit because there's a lot going on just with that. Kind of fun just to notice, like, if I focus on all of these double balls that are in my nervous system, I feel different sensations than if I focus on, okay, there, all of the cells in my bones and all that connected stuff, all the connected tissue, all the fascia, all the. If I focus on the organs, I feel the energy feels very different. Okay, so now all of those balls are spinning. Let's go through time and across time. So that's going to, existentially increase the number of balls. The thing is, you don't have to pay attention to the ball. It's always with aim and intent. So through time and across time. Just in the same way, if you notice, it feels different. Like if you think about your central nervous system now, it's going to feel different. The energy feels different. And they kind of think of your lifetime of through time and across time. Or if you think of through time and across time, even beyond your lifetime, it feels different. That's kind of cool. The other thing, so some of you will have sensations, some of you will see colors, some of you won't. You'll think you don't see anything at all, or feel anything at all, which is, frankly, untrue. It just means you're not connected to it, because I can see all of the things going on with you guys. What might be interesting to note is if you were playing with this at home, if you run through the recording and you're doing this, to notice, oh, okay, so I'm looking at, or I'm experiencing, feeling, sensing, whatever. I'm sensing the energy if I do through my own lifetime. Well, what happens if I look beyond my lifetime and then you suddenly realize you fell asleep then? That was, the moment, and that's either the moment where it went beyond what you wanted to deal with, or you just shocked out. That's okay. It's just interesting to know. You think nothing's going on, and yet it's like the light switch. You clunk, you're gone, and you only find out you were gone when you come back, which is always entertaining. It's like when you go through the color balls of light one, and somebody says, "Oh, there was orange. When did that happen?" Because they were gone for that part. It's okay. It's just now you got all of these balls going. Just check and see what happens with your breath. See what happens if you breathe in slowly and evenly, and breathe out slowly and evenly. And you just may find that what's kind of behaving differently, or your awareness is different, because you're in a different state now. Okay, so now we've got the through time and across time. We've got all the cells and all the between, all the energy. I want you to realize that through time and across time means all the versions of you. But just with that awareness, realize that you now have these little balls of light in every cell of every version of you. That's it. And that feels different again. So I want you to think of something that is, simple affection. Like if you had a cat, you scratch the cat and purrs, the cat doesn't have an agenda. It's just, like I feel good, so I'm going to purr. And you don't have to have an agenda to do that. If you scratch a cat and it purrs, that's pretty simple and basic. Like you don't have to understand love or understand comfort. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have figured out your entire life. It's like a really basic thing. Something can be comforting. And there could be, a food that's comforting, or a gesture, or it could be a chair that you like, or a blanket. I want you to just think, is there something that you can think of that has that really simple, basic comfort, a really simple, basic affection, where you don't have to figure it all out? It just is. If you're cold and you wrap yourself in a blanket, that feels good. You don't have to analyze it. You don't have to figure it out. It just is. Like when you really feel like you want a shower and you get in the shower and it feels so good. There's nothing to figure out about that. It just is. So take that is feeling and put it through every one of those balls of light with all the things that are comfort and acceptance and approval and love. Just kind of make a wave of that simple yeah. That's lovely. I gotta tell you, sometimes you just want to soak with this stuff. A lot of times when we're doing a workshop like this, we do specific work because, things we're achieving here. But sometimes when you're doing it on your own, you just want to get yourself in this kind of pumped up state. You got all this light going through you and just kind of soak with it. And, frankly, it's good for you. And it'll allow things to jiggle that, maybe you've been working on in the background or not even aware you're working on. It'll kind of, it's like it gives it gas. And that would be the fuel kind, not the fart kind. Okay, so now consider a situation in which you want status. So it could be you want someone's attention, or you want someone to do something for you, or you want more resources. If you can think of something in your life where you would like, I don't know, buy a lottery ticket, you'd like to win the lottery. That is a desire for status. Because if you boil it down, if you have more money, then you have more influence. You have more choices, access to choices. So anything where you feel like you want more resources, anything where you feel like you want something from somebody, you want attention, you want approval, you want them to hear you want them to validate your feelings or validate your requirements, anything like that. And I want you to pay attention to all of these balls of light and letting that, the cat scratch warm blanket feeling soothe all of that desire, all that desire for status, even the stuff that you don't think of it as wanting status. You think of it as, like, why can't people pay attention to putting their boots in the closet, that kind of thing. There's lots of things where you want to influence behavior, or you want to influence your territory, or you want to influence resources. All of these things are a desire for status. And so think about that soothing going through every one of those little champagne bubbles like a wave. That's it. You just notice if there are any places in your body, and specifically the body here and now, where you feel like, maybe that wave is not going, or maybe, maybe things are, I don't know, like cement. or you're struggling with it or there's sensations, pay attention to that. And you can ask it. You know, the same way we ask the line, you can, touch the line and ask it why. You can ask it why. And if you're not sure, obviously you can let me know. The thing is, you can know. And a lot of times, again, it's always about the aim. So if you pay attention to that light, pay attention to that soothing, let's just let it go where it needs to go. And if you just allow yourself, just ask, where do I need to pay attention? Or when do I need to pay attention? So you could say, when do I need to pay attention? It could say five, maybe when you were five. Or it could be, where do I need to pay attention? And it could be, I don't know, your lower back. Or it could be at work or at home. Like it'll answer you, and then you have to keep asking why, so that you can get more information. And the information is not necessary to release it. The information is to help you aim, so you know what you're aiming at releasing. But Margot says her sternum feels tight, hollow also, not sure where the bubbles are because she's on thing. You're doing pretty good. Your bubbles are fine. And just when you come out of the being zonked out, you just say, okay, let's get all those bubbles going. And that just brings it back to your awareness. The sternum being tight and hollow, that's grief. In fact, there's a lot of child selves who want to cry there. And that's sometimes, you give them something like this, you give them all this, you're putting all this energy that they've missed and they've wanted. You give it to them and they grieve because they didn't have it before. So there's a lot of grief there. And it makes sense, it makes sense that they'd be sad they didn't have it before. Even if they are glad they have it now, they're still going to recognize it. Like sometimes it feels so good when it stops, when the pain stops. You didn't even know you were in so much pain. That's it. Lots of grief. And that's okay. Because part of the grieving process is forgiving yourself for not giving this to you. Marie says she's stuck between her shoulder blades. Okay. Your body can be so literal. This is about betrayal. So you feel that you've been betrayed and you're holding that. So, okay, we're going to go back to, Trisha's definition of trust is when you believe you can predict someone's behavior, and if you feel betrayed, it means you are mistaken in your prediction. So the challenge of letting go of a betrayal is to tell the truth that you didn't want to know. Julie says there's a kid screaming, it hates you, contraction in your chest. So that's the grief. So the I hate you, I hate you part. Thing to do with them is to comfort them. Just give them more and more comfort and love them even more. Because what happens is you have these child selves, and I mean, think about this. They were little, they were desperate for status. When they didn't get it, they had to develop coping mechanisms. And one of the easiest ways to cope with someone not giving you the love and attention you want is to say, I don't want your love and attention. So the easiest way to cope with that frustrated need is to reject, which is why rebel is so comfortable. Okay? So what you have to do is ignore the fact that they're rejecting and just hug them. Just hug them. And all of that is their pain. It's okay. It doesn't have to hurt you. The fact that, yes, it's a child inside you that pain is inside you, but it doesn't have to hurt you now. And that's about telling the truth of, this doesn't belong to right now. This belongs to this child. And my job is to stay centered and stay in comfort so I can give the comfort to the child. If you take on their pain, it just breaks your ability to be the adult for them. I think part of our challenge is, you know, whoever you interact with, say you meet somebody and you're chatting, keep it away from family and stuff to make it easier to process the information. What they do and how they interact with you is not about you. It's about who they are and what they're expressing, and you are a place for them to express. Now, we can be all, you know, mature and objective and understand that. We can understand, okay, they don't even see me. They are interacting with me based on their self image and who they want to be in this interaction. And their experience is an experience of me. They don't actually see me as a person. Like, if you really tell the truth about that, it can feel really lonely because people have such a limited capacity to connect. Now, the truth is, the answer to that is not in the interaction with them. It's the interaction inside yourself. So if you feel like, well, nobody can even see me, then you have to go inside to the child who feels like they were never seen or never heard. And it's up to you to provide for them what they didn't have. Because the more you can give it to yourself, the more you will manifest it. Because that's what you'll mirror. If you have a child inside you who feels like they've never been heard, or feels like they just want to kick everybody who's hurt them, or feels like they've been betrayed by people, all of that's inside you, then that's what you're going to attract. So it's about giving that child, soothing that child, healing that child, so that they feel safe with you and they feel safe in the world because you are there. Because here's the thing, that little kid inside you is still a little kid. They are a dependent. They do not have they're not metal. They can't protect themselves. So they need you to be aware of their needs. They need you to take care of them and to be cognizant of what's going on inside you so that they are safe in the world because of you. And when you are safe in the world because of you, then that's the experiences you will attract. Because life's going to mirror it. So think for a minute, you know, for sure, there's going to be, child selves inside you who felt like nobody was listening, nobody gave a shit, nobody cared if you lived or died, nobody, or maybe they cared if you were fed, but, they didn't really, right? So just think about that and putting all that soothing, all that cat scratch, wrap in a blanket kind of stuff, all that soothing through all those balls of light that goes through every version of you, through all of you, through all of you, through time, across time. That's it. And when the kid screams, you just hug them more. Because you have to prove to them that you're going to stick it out. You're going to have to prove to that kid that she can't get rid of you. That, even if she's an obnoxious brat, you're not going. You're sticking it out. You're going to love her anyway. You have to prove to the part of you that feels betrayed that you will tell the truth and you will be willing to look and see what's going on. And then all of that, to give them a space to cry and to hold them when they do. Sarah says, I had to be hurt to be heard. Yep. And that's that. The only way to get attention was if you escalated and became a problem that had to be solved. And so there's two problems with that. One is it teaches you to escalate. It teaches you that to get what you want, you have to hurt yourself. But it also teaches you that you only will get attention while you're hurting. Because if you were hurt and you got attention, then as soon as you shut up and stop being a problem, it went away again. So that's not a place of safety. You see what I mean? It means that you had to use drama, you had to use escalation. So now do that. Look for the coping mechanisms that used escalation to claim attention, that used escalation to ask for status, and put all of that soothing and all of those balls of light. Remember, these are double balls, so they can neutralize the grief as well. You get the big ones, if you get all the little ones, they can neutralize all this grief. Yeah, there's an introduction. That's okay. Lots of stuff there in here, guys. Let it work. Let it work. Okay. Periodically, Judy reminds me that I'm fading, and that's because I get stoned watching all this stuff going on, and then I have to speak up again. So that's it. Let all of the soothing, let it neutralize the grief. Recognize that there are coping mechanisms of not knowing. Coping mechanisms like if I don't see that they're going to hurt me, then I can pretend it's not going to happen. And so let the soothing and the light release those coping mechanisms to allow yourself to be willing to know. This keeps going back to you will be willing to know the truth of people when you are willing to keep yourself safe. And it's you keeping you safe. All the versions of you. Let the light flush through all of those coping mechanisms about escalation. That's it. Flush all that out. Soothe it all. Neutralize the grief. And all of those child selves that lash out, that self-destruct, that do things that aren't necessarily helpful. All of those are coping mechanisms too, and they're ways to, if you hurt yourself, then you can pretend other people are not hurting you. So think of soothing and releasing those coping mechanisms, and it keeps coming back to the truth that you have to love you, be safe with the truth of what other people are capable of or incapable of. You have to love you to keep you and all those child selves safe in a world where people are incapable. The more you can love yourself, the more you attract that in your life, both from the people who are already in your life, and from new people you can draw into your life. The thing is, even the people who are in your life, it'll be like their bodies are taken over by aliens and they're totally behaving differently because what you're telling them to give you changes because they are your mirrors. Okay, so then there's all these coping mechanisms that are about the beliefs about why people behave certain ways towards you. So it can be, people are rude or people are stupid or people are inconsiderate or, all of those things. The fact of the matter is they are who they are and they will behave according to their own self image, good or bad. So how they behave towards you is about their self image and the experience they're having of you, which may have nothing to do with who you are. So think of all of that light flushing out, flushing out trauma from those experiences, flushing out pain, flushing out coping mechanisms. Think of it being soothed. Lots of that soothing, lots of that cat scratch wrapped in a blanket soothing. All of these lights, and think about them. Okay, so let's just kind of run like you think about them in the different systems, your nervous system, your endocrine system, your bones, your fascia, your organs, your energy, all the spaces in between, through time and across time, through all of those versions of you. That's what I'm crowd at the campsite next door having a party. Maybe getting to be loud. We're having a good time, I think. So let's sit with that. Let it process. Let those double balls spin, the big ones and the little ones. Lots of stuff to neutralize, lots of stuff to comfort, lots of stuff to release. The best part of doing it this way, where you have the double balls, is that because the stuff you're releasing gets neutralized, then you don't have to worry about making yourself sick, for instance. All right, so let's do some adding things in. So into all of these little bubbles and balls, let's add capacity to know safety, to have it as knowing. So you're actually tuning this in through time and across time, tuning it into your systems, and neutralizing any trauma that comes up. Okay, I will be louder. I can do that. So into all of these little balls, you're programming the knowing of safe, then allowing all of the trauma that gets released to be neutralized so that this then gets tuned in and wired in the knowing of safe. And then let's do safe, knowing, safe. Safe, knowing, safe. Okay, now let's tune in to health. And immediately your mind starts going all over the place because I can see all kinds of things going about, aches and pains or weight or whatever like that. Let all of that go and let the light do it. To know health and let it be tuned into all of your systems and tuned through time and across time so that there, see, there goes the trauma starts to release. So the trauma starts to release, the balls neutralize it all, big ones and the little ones. That's it. This is good work. There's a lot going on here. This is good stuff. We always do good stuff, I know. Let's do play. Put the knowing of play and safe knowing play. That's interesting because we didn't do safe knowing health, did we? Huh. Oh, okay. So we're going to in two steps. All right. So in two steps, we're going to do right now, do safe, do play, knowing play, and safe knowing play. Okay. Do health again, knowing health. So just so you know what I'm, we did the knowing health, and I saw so much trauma being released. Everything was working real hard to neutralize all that. And then I did knowing health again. It's like just as much trauma being released again. So clearly, this is a big one, and it's got multiple levels to it, and that makes sense. It's interesting that I don't think about what's coming when I'm doing this. Half the time, I don't know what's coming because it comes out of my mouth and I hear it. So it makes sense to me if I go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, there'd be multiple layers in health, and it'd be wrapped around all kinds of things. So yeah, sure, it makes sense. Still, I think it surprises me when I see things because I don't have an expectation. If I'm without an expectation, I don't slant things, and I work hard at that, frankly, at being without the expectation. Okay, knowing play, knowing play, safe knowing play, knowing health, big again. Wow. Huh. Okay, so we're not actually, they're not giving me precise words for this, so I guess I have to talk about it a little bit. So when you interact with other people, they have an experience of you, which is completely subjective for them. They have the experience of you based on their perception and their self-image and all that kind of stuff. And so part of self-worth is understanding the value of the experience that you give. Now, this is kind of weird to me because their experience of you is completely subjective. So, really, you know, what experience you give them has as much to do with who they are as it does to do with who you are. But I guess they would have a different experience, like they'd have a different experience, say, if it was a person or an elephant or a car or a tree. They're going to have a different experience regardless of the fact that it's based on their perception. It's still going to be different when it's a person or an elephant or a car or a tree. And so the fact is, who you are has influence on the experience they have, even though it's completely subjective for them. So, I mean, it makes sense that, if you scream at someone, they're going to have a different experience of you than if you say sing to them or if you're smiling at them. So you do have the capacity to influence their experience. What you can't do is determine the outcome. So if you sing to them, they may think that's fabulous, or they may think you're annoying, or whatever. You have a choice to have a specific kind of influence, and then the key is to let go of the outcome. So you can choose your effect, which is what taking responsibility is all about. You base your behaviors, your actions based on how you're aiming to achieve the effect you want. And then it's about letting go because you can't determine what they actually experience because it's subjective for them. The thing is, you have an effect. So we're always trying to find that line, the line between having a clear intent, taking responsibility for your behavior, choosing your effect, and then where's the line? You have to let go of the outcome because you don't determine the experience they have. And that's what this is about. This is about that line, understanding you have an effect. You have influence on the effect you have. You don't control the result because that's subjective. So it's owning your influence. This is about owning your influence. So in all of those balls, and then in all of that soothing, about knowing your influence. Knowing your influence. Okay, that was big. All right, I'm gonna have to chew on that one for a while. Lots and lots and lots of grief. Lots of neutralizing. That's it. I mean, you can do the grieving, cry your eyes out if you want, or you can let the balls neutralize it because it doesn't belong to today. And I mean, it could be cathartic to grieve, and you could do both. All right. knowing your influence. Okay. He says now she knows why her eyes were watering all day. Yep. Okay, so now here's the thing. You can know your influence. You can recognize the effect. And the challenge of letting go, it's like if you were trying to say you give somebody a flower because you want to do something nice, and they, I don't know, burst into tears, and they get all upset, you know, you don't control that effect. That's subjective. You can observe it and use it to inform your next choice. I know my mother associated mums and asters with death, and that's because she lost people in her family at a time. It was a time of year where that's the flowers that were available, so that's what everybody sent. So in the funerals and in the wakes, the place was full of mums and asters, but she hates them to this day, and that's it's an association. So if somebody ever gave her mums or asters, I mean, she would say all nice things, but she'd take them home, throw them out because they upset her so much. She couldn't be rational about it. Nobody giving her those flowers knew that. They were trying to be nice, you know? We cannot know our effect. We can observe it, and then we can take that information, and use it for the next time. It's still about recognizing, recognizing. And when you've been taught as a child, if you've been taught to think you don't have any power, you don't have any effect, you don't have any influence, then your coping mechanism is to not see the effect. And so the challenge then is to be safe, recognizing your influence, safe knowing your influence, safe knowing your influence, safe letting go of the effect, safe knowing your influence, safe letting go of the effect. And we'll give that one a couple of minutes. Safe knowing your influence, safe letting go of effect, safe recognizing the effect so it can inform your choices. So it's about letting go of the effect and being able to use that information. That's it. Lots of that soothing. And sometimes it helps, break it up a bit. Okay, so pay attention to your central nervous system. That's it. Pay attention to your endocrine system. Pay attention to your fascia, your connective tissue. Pay attention to your bones. Pay attention to the energy, all the other places, and through time and across time. That's it. Let, let it cook and soothe for a while because everybody's exhausted. I can feel everybody goes, when is this over? So just let the energy soothe. Let the energy just let it cook for a while. That's it. Go back to your breath. See how your breath is doing, even on the way in, even on the way out. And all of those little balls of light, big ones around. Okay. Knowing help. How we can do safe knowing help. Safe knowing help. Knowing help. Safe knowing help. Knowing your influence. Safe knowing your influence. Argo says got a spear from the back through the front, right chest. Ah. So the little child inside you doesn't want to know her influence because you couldn't save everybody. So this one's everybody's going to have this one because when you're a little kid, you just love everybody, and your love is unconditional. And so it breaks your heart to know that unconditional love is not enough to make them happy. You know, if you're loving everybody and you're loving them to bits, why doesn't that fix everything? And the answer is because it's not their comfort zone. So when you're a little child, you're giving everybody unconditional love, and you truly believe if you just love them enough, then that will fix all their problems. Because after all, if they know how much you love them, why wouldn't they be happy? Why wouldn't they be joyous in their life? The problem is, it's not their comfort zone to be happy and joyous. So, this is the challenge. You have an influence. When you love them, it has an effect. It's not the effect you want it to have. And so this is why we get into trouble because then you think, well, there must be something wrong with my love because it's not fixing everything. And that is untrue. Your love is perfect. Your love is perfect. And in point of fact, you love them so much that you're willing to let them have all this misery that they want to have. And that hurts you. So you're willing to give them that freedom, which is why your love is unconditional, The challenge you have is to recognize that that is their choice. That is their choice. And it isn't about you. So now let's go back to knowing your influence, put all of that light, all that soothing, all that neutralizing the trauma, all of that light, all that soothing through all of the versions of you, through time and across time, through all of you, everywhere it can go. And soothing. And let's put forgiving. Let's forgive them for clinging to their pain. Let's forgive them for being unwilling to allow your love to fix everything for them. They have your love. It was right there. And instead, they cling to their pain. They cling to their comfort zones. They cling to their experience. And the bottom line is we do the same thing. We do this too. Inside you right now, there are all these child cells who love you. And yet, you still do the comfort zones, still do the patterns. We remove them. We remove patterns as we are willing and able to do that. And yet these little child cells inside you are going, well, yeah, but I love you. So why isn't everything perfect? Why isn't it enough that I love you? So now, what if you take all of those bubbles going through all of these versions of you and accept the love? Let's accept the love in every cell in your body, through time and across time. And let's validate all those little ones inside you who truly love you unconditionally. Through all of those balls of light that go through all of them and all through time, let's value the love that they give you. Let's appreciate it. Let's nurture it. Maybe even return it. Maybe give them love too. That's it. And think about accepting the love, validating the love, and giving the love. Through every cell, through every system, through time and across time. Safe, knowing love. Safe, healing love. Safe, loving. Safe, validating, and appreciating love. Safe when your love is validated and appreciated. Knowing your influence. Safe knowing your influence. Safe recognizing the effect and letting it go and using the information. Knowing health. Safe knowing health. That went a whole different place than the other times. Wow. Okay. Different colors, different patterns. Knowing influence. Safe knowing influence. Distinguishing influence and effect. So that's the difference between giving them the flower and recognizing that their response to the flower is subjective. So knowing you have influence and recognizing the difference between the influence and the effect, because the effect is subjective on their part. Knowing effect, letting go of effect, using effect as information. Safe, knowing effect. Okay, lots of trauma coming out with that. So lots of neutralizing. Just give that some time. That's it. Safe, knowing influence. Safe, knowing effect. safe, distinguishing influence and effect. Judy says she's getting a clicking in her right ear. You're getting ready to hear stuff. So a lot of this, I've been aware all night that for a lot of people, this is it's gonna turn up your intuition, because what we're doing is we're taking away a lot of trauma that came with discernment and stuff in childhood, and we're restoring it. So for a lot of you, this is going to turn up the intuition yet again. Good point, Rudy said, and that means you should update your shielding and your protection as well. Absolutely. And that's because, if you turn up your intuition, then you're going to turn up your awareness. You just need that filter on the energy, because otherwise it's bombarding. It's interesting. So, I've been through all these transitions in the last few years. So I was, living in Stittsville, and then we moved downtown. We were staying in that house downtown for a while, thanks to the lovely Sarah Bryce, who was in Arizona. So we were staying at their place. Excuse me. And I'm used to being out in suburbia, and suddenly I'm downtown, and there's just the sheer volume of people meant I had to turn up my shielding. And that, it wasn't about the quality of the shielding, it was just the volume. It's just, there's a lot of people and a lot of noise, and so I was just not used to that. And it was easy to do. Like, once I figured it out, it was, whoa, that's what's going on. Okay, turn everything up, and it was fine. I just had to think of it, and it literally didn't enter my mind. You would think I would think of these things, didn't. So now I'm really aware, because I'm further out, I'm way out in the boonies now in the country. There's not a lot of people around me. And so when I come into the city, I'm very aware. Part of my drive in, turn up the shielding, turn up all the filters, because there's just so many more people. So it's actually, now it's a much more, it's attached to the drive into the city for me. Oh, click, we passed this line, now it's time to turn things up. I find it useful to create positive associations. I'm driving to here, turn things up. If I'm driving home again, okay, you can sort of relax them again. One of the things is I want to keep things, not like, turned down is the wrong language, but like, not turned up when I'm in the country, because otherwise I'll know way too much about my neighbors. I don't want to know. It's none of my business. I prefer not knowing. Thank you. So yes, just be aware, because when you turn things up, it manifests in different ways. And just be aware of your shielding, kind of review it in your mind, so that you're paying attention. Okay. We want to soak with this for a while, so we're just keeping all those balls, breath. Any questions? Any comments? This is a good time, because we got to soak for a while. Judy says pressure at the solar plexus. So remember, this is very much about how you're interacting with others. So the solar plexus chakra is, I discover, and you discover you in relation to. So what's happening is there's a lot of change going on. So there's a lot of reset going on in your solar plexus. I would suggest for homework you do the complete singing bowls to just get everything realigned again. I mean, if you don't do it, it'll sort itself out. It's just, if you do it deliberately with intent, it'll sort out easier, quicker, probably with more information. I know you're tempted to do it right now while you're doing this, but really you got a lot going on. So for all of you who want to jump and immediately start stacking up your bowls, can you let this process, because there's a lot cooking here. You got a lot of trauma being released from all kinds of different systems. Margot saying, remind how to set up shielding. Easiest way for you, Margot, is to use singing bowl. So you can do, if you do singing bowl in your sacral chakra, the one that, put your thumb on your belly button, drop your hand, and that's the I am me chakra, and just keep the singing bowl going. Then what happens is you're you're basically saying I am me, I am me, I am me with the energy, and that creates a filter so that other people's energy becomes information instead of influencing you. So people have exactly as much influence as you give them. And influence is what affects your choices. So, you care about people, sure, they're going to affect your choices. What you don't want is them to have undue influence. So you don't want their emotions to be a pressure for you. You want it to be information, so you can take it into account. You can, decide if you're going to comfort or soothe or what you're going to do. It's like you don't want their emotion dictating to you. You don't want their energy dictating to you. And so that's why you put the filters in place. You do I am me, and that basically allows you to perceive what's going on with them as information and choose how you interact with it. You can totally be compassionate. You can be self-sacrificing if you want. I mean, that's up to you. What you want to do is be in a position of choice. So you understand that you're choosing. Sarah says she met somebody new, so she's indulging and balancing that with awareness, and it feels damn good. I see, that's lovely, right? Because you choose. That's the key. You get all the information, you choose how to interact with it. Okay. So think about wafting that comfort, cat scratching, warm blanket, all that. Just wafting that comfort through all of those little balls, and the big one. Just let it go through all of your systems and through time and across time, through all of your energy, every cell, every connection. And remember, when you make big shifts like this, it's going to cascade because the people around you know you're different. So one thing you can do after the fact is you can do go to the third chakra above your crown and just sing the bowl there, because what that does is it kind of offers them the change, offers them the tune up without them having to try and figure it out and adjust. I tell you, the people who are close in your life, they have to be comfortable with change because, we do this all the time. It's got to be interesting, right? Like if you have a partner, it's like, oh, Wednesday night, Thursday, she's different. He says Conrad goes out and buys a new tool. That's funny. You could never be boring, that's for sure. Okay, so now think about letting all that light soothe. There's this hilarious, yeah. Think about letting that light soothe and kind of charge you because everybody's very tired. We're doing a lot, I know. Uh, all right, so now think, in addition to that kind of soothing, think about integrating and detox. That's it, integrating and detox. Okay, and just for fun, let's raise the frequency in every single one of those balls. Let's just raise the frequency. Oh, that was interesting. I wish I could show you the light show again. Okay. Knowing health, safe knowing health. Health. Knowing health. Go back to that one again. Knowing health, safe knowing health. Knowing play, safe knowing play. Knowing influence, safe knowing influence. Knowing effect, safe knowing effect. Safe distinguishing influence and effect. Knowing love, Safe knowing love. Knowing loving. Safe loving. We did really good tonight. This is so much better. Judy says she hears some music static. There's actually the campground next door is having a party. It may be their music. Like my windows are shut. They're having a good time out there. I don't know about the static. There shouldn't be static. So we're leaving. This is the park where we do Wayne does the volunteer work, and we've been here for 2 months, and we've been coming here for years. So a lot of the volunteer, like when we arrived here, it was like old home week. Oh, you're back. That's great. And the way it works here is he does, he does the volunteer work, and in the evening, it's kind of whoever lights the fire first. That's where people congregate with a beer. And so today they were saying they were going to get him so drunk tonight that he wouldn't be able to leave tomorrow. They said, "Oh, you'll be so hungover you won't be able to go." So it's kind of cool that people are so friendly and stuff. It's a beautiful spot. That's it. Safe, validating, and appreciating love. That's it. And think about letting all that validation and appreciation go into all those balls, to go to all those younger versions of you who love you. Think about putting love into those balls to go to them. Sarah says it sounds lovely. Yes, it does. It is lovely. Yes, there's lots of cooking going on, so I can tell you, Phil. So we're in Fort Lauderdale. We're at a state park, and this park doesn't have campgrounds. The only campsites are for the resident volunteers, and so you have to do 24, 25, like 24, 25 hours a week per campsite, and Wayne does that. So he works like 8 to 1, 5 days a week, and so he goes off to work in the morning, and I do my thing. I usually have my own stuff going on. And then he comes back and we have lunch, and then we go to the beach, which is 2 minutes away on our bicycles. And it's a beautiful sand beach, and the water looks like a swimming pool and feels like a swimming pool. And we don't necessarily swim because there's a lot of waves. So I call it we bob. We bob. We go for a bob in the waves because the water just lifts you up and down like that. It's glorious. I got a new face mask for snorkeling because I don't like snorkels because they have this big thing in your mouth. So now I have a face mask. It's a full face one, and the snorkel is attached to it. So there's nothing to hold in your mouth. I like it so much better. This is not actually a place for snorkeling because it's a wave beach. In fact, they surf and stuff here. And, but I'll have fun with that snorkel elsewhere, and when I get home, when the water warms up. Yeah, so we go down to the beach and then we ride our bikes around the loop of the park, which is, I think it's a mile. The loop is a mile. So we do that. And then we come back and then it's happy hour. Somebody's having a party every night. So, mind you, we tend to be in bed like 10 because I guess, they're working outside all day. There's another couple from Ottawa that were here this year. They're retired teachers. And they were actually camping in a tent. They're both over 70. Most of the people here are in their 70s. We're the young ones here. And because they're all here in RVs and doing this volunteer work. But this couple from Ottawa, they're both retired teachers. They're both over 70 and they stay in a tent. Not for me. I like my comforts. Thank you very much. That's it. All right. So now we're gonna take this apart, and obviously, you can come back and do it again. I want you to think about relaxing the small balls. So relaxing just means they're just gonna dissipate. They can meld into one. Think about releasing them across time and space, releasing them from your tissues, releasing them from your energy. And so then all of the small ones are either combined with the big ones or they're dissipated. And let's just sit with the big ones for a little while. So the inside ball neutralizes. So release the inside ball and then just stay with the outside ball for a while. We're going to get that a couple of minutes. So it's got acceptance and approval and love. It's got comfort. It's got detox. It's got integration. And it's also got like charge you up so you're not completely exhausted. Because I know we did a lot of work tonight. Everybody feels pretty tired. So let's keep that spinning. So where I started with this, as I said, when you're a little kid, you're looking for attention from your parents specifically, from other people too, but mostly from your parents. And you either feel like you don't get the attention or you get it a little bit and then you lose it. So that's what we were started with releasing. We started with releasing all of that programming that comes from, that creates the desire to seek status. So the comfort zone is seeking status and not getting it, or seeking status, you get it and you lose it. And so that's what we're flushing out. So just pay attention to that remaining all the light and just kind of integrating, releasing all of that. And then over time, as this continues to process, you can just pay attention and see. Do you find that you're just not hungry for attention anymore? And so you can still enjoy people, you can enjoy attention, you can enjoy all that stuff. It's about letting go of the seat. So now take that ball and put it around everybody in the group. Let it spin through them and around them. And then let yourself feel the light from everybody in the group that they're giving you unconditionally. Margot says, no driving home in the snow this way. Yeah, I love that part. I love the fact that I don't have to drive because, I always have to be aware to not get myself too stoned. But, here, I don't have to care about that. We can go as deep as I can go. Lots of fun. And we do some great work, ladies. I want to give yourself a pat on the back because we dig in stuff that's tough to dig in. All right, so now bring the ball back to you. And then you can either release it or spin it into your heart. Keep it, whichever feels right. Sometimes you need to release it because you need to let go of what you were working on. We have about 10 minutes left. Any questions? Any comments? Yep, you're very welcome. That's some thank yous. Very interesting. Next time I'll be back in Empire. Hopefully the snow will be done. Margot says, is my writing a way to seek attention? Yes, it's a way to seek validation. And so it's about shifting it so it's an expression of you instead of a seek. And that will take a lot of pain out of it, right? Make it an easier flow. I haven't felt any urge to write while I've been down here this time, and I've just been going with that because I think I'm processing a lot of the changes that have been happening. Perfect. So if I'm going to write, it'll come. And I really do think I'm going to write fiction. I think there are lots of spiritual books I could write. That's I think I'm. I feel like fiction allows more people to connect to the stuff, the messages. It'll be what it is. Thank you. I will enjoy the rest. I'm actually. I haven't been on vacation. This is I. This has been working for me, and I'm actually leaving tomorrow, and I'm having 2 weeks of actual vacation. Now I'm working part time, which is glorious. I'm slowly working towards being fully retired. So the whole deal has been this week. It's been a cold front here in Fort Lauderdale, which means the temperatures are only up to 25, 26. The locals are absolutely offended. So next week we're back to seasonal temperatures, which is 27, 30, which means sleeping with the air conditioning on. I can live with that. Judy has a question. How to help the child within that is coming up for healing, hurting so bad and problem child style, wants to stomp on anyone. So just hold her and love her and ignore the inner bully, is crazy intense right now. Is the hurt child the inner bully? The inner bully, the hurt child is using bullying as a coping mechanism. So the hurt child is doing, reject people, hurt them before they can hurt you, that kind of thing. It doesn't make that child a bully because the child is coping. They're coping with pain, they're coping with rejection, they're coping with their own issues, if you will. And so they aren't the entity, the inner bully. They are using that as a coping mechanism. And the truth is, it's just, yeah, just hug them. Just keep hugging them. Margot says she's enjoying Patricia Berg's books. I like that series too. It's a lot of fun. And you're welcome. So it's only 10 2, but I think we're going to call it a night because I think everybody's really tired. And so if you have any questions, feel free. This is a good time. And I guess this gives people space to ask questions the way they would ask at the end of the night anyway. So that's kind of it's interesting that it sort of naturally fell to that. So feel free to ask questions. And if you don't have a question, we'll call it a night and I'll shut it down in 5 minutes or so anyway. So thank you and good night, and I'll see you next time. All right, I think we got everybody. I think we got all the questions. I will have a fabulous one. Thank you so much. All right. Good night, everybody, and talk to you in April. Definitely safe travel. You're such a great group. Feeling the love, ladies.